topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show, where for the last 16 years we have brought you the finest experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. We've got about 30 shows that we do a month. But there is one show, and I write it out, I type it out, what I'm going to open up with. And I can open up with Barry Fowler, who's the president and founder of Taxation Solutions, Inc., and how he's an enrolled agent. But I don't do that with Barry. What I do is tell you, Barry has been with us for about the last 12 or 13 years. He is absolutely, without a doubt, the finest company when it comes to tax resolution that I've ever seen. And have Barry's company, because I'm going to tell you something, folks. You can look at all those national commercials you want. Most of them are BS. And I go into Google and read what they say about them. And there's so much negative on there. But I know this is kind of a crazy way to open the show, but I love doing this show with Barry Fowler of Taxation Solutions Incorporated, because I know that every person from this show that contacts Barry, that they're in good hands. And I'm so appreciative of that. Good morning, Barry.
Hey, good morning, Steve-O. Man, I would say I was glad to be here. I'm supposed to actually be in Missouri right now doing a seminar, Truck to Success, but they canceled it because they didn't have enough people coming to the seminar. So,
Wow.
I get to do the show with you, so that's good. We get to get information out to people. But I thought we were going to be broadcasting a special episode right from the seminar this week. And just seeing me up there talking and maybe being on my soapbox again, who knows? You never know what you're going to get from me when we start talking.
Hey, Barry, does the shutdown have anything to do with it?
No, not at all. It's in the trucking business. It's really been difficult this year, in the last couple of years, for owner operators out there, because load prices have come down. So, when they're trying to transport, freight, those prices have come way down. The cost of equipment over the last, 3 to 5 years has gone through the roof. Inflation didn't help. People trying to get into the business paying ungodly prices for trucks and trailers. It's, really hurt the business. And then, of course, fuel costs. When fuel costs goes up, profit goes down, and then it makes it really difficult. And then you get people that are in this industry that decide they've got to take a load, even if it doesn't make them any money, just to have money coming in. So they're undercutting what should be a increasing price for transporting goods across this country to prices that are not sustainable for somebody being an owner operator. And so you're seeing a lot of people get out of the business as an owner operator, go and become a W-2 driver for somebody else. And, that's what's affected the business. And that's really what affected OIDA not putting on the Truck to Success seminar, this year. And normally we have, anywhere from 20 to 50 truckers coming to this seminar that they put on every year to learn more about the trucking industry and, what they can do, moving out from being maybe a W-2 driver to being self-employed as an owner operator. And you and I both know how difficult it can be being self-employed and running your own business, and trucking's the same way.
Wow. Barry, this is kind of the life of Barry Fowler. What does it feel like knowing that you have literally helped thousands of people resolve, complex tax issues, not just tax issues, but complex tax issues with the IRS? That must be such an incredible feeling.
I take it personally when we can't accomplish something. And so I think that's the biggest downside for me is I can't accomplish something. And it's mainly because they didn't give us all the information that we needed to get it done and to give them the right advice. And so if you're hiding something from us, it's a hard thing. But when we do accomplish things, I feel the same thing our clients feel. Absolutely gratified and relief for them to get out from underneath the penalties, the tax debt, you name it, from the IRS. And then we work with them to make sure they stay in compliance so that they don't have this problem coming back. And I think that sometimes is the most important service that we offer somebody, is being able to keep you in compliance once we solve the problem. Because we see many, many times I can be as ecstatic and happy for our clients today. And maybe they got an offer in compromise and they settled for, $10,000 on a $100,000 debt, or $1,000 on a $50,000 debt, whatever it may be that we settle for, that 2-3 years from now, they fall out of compliance because nobody's there helping them. Or they rejected the help, saying, "Oh, I can do this. You got me here. I can do this myself." But you already know what the bad habits are. So you got to correct them. And so, we try to take our clients from here where we got them, where they're extremely happy, to keep them that happy, to keep them in compliance for the next 5 years, so that the debt just goes away if they're an offer in compromise. Or if they're on a partial pay installment agreement, they stay in compliance with that agreement so that the debt falls off. Or if they're in non-collectible status, being able to work with them to know that, hey, this is changing, so therefore their non-collectible status may change in the future. And here's where we can help and assist you. So there's multiple steps to this. I'm ecstatic when it gets done, and then I'm really down to the dumps when the client comes back and says, I just didn't think I could, I thought I could do this on my own. I should have just stayed with you guys and let you help me all along and everything. So we beg and plead, please stay with us and use us to keep you in compliance, because just because we got that problem solved isn't the end of it. It's continued being in compliance to keep that debt away. Now, I'm going to give you an example. Had a
story.
Was not one of my clients. He came to me. He was 4.5 years into an offer in compromise. And it wasn't just any offer in compromise. This guy had $240,000 worth of tax debt that was settled for about $20,000. He was 4.5 years into it. He missed the filing deadline, April 15th, didn't file an extension. No big deal, right? If you don't owe money, probably not going to be a big deal. He filed his tax return in May, so he was only less than 30 days late, but he owed $4,000. IRS kicked his offer out And all that debt
Oh,
plus penalties and interest came flooding back. And now he was talking 300 and some odd $1,000 that he owed. And he's like, Mr. Fowler, what can you do for me? Well, this is why we talk about compliance with our clients, for exactly that reason. All the hard work that somebody did to get them into an offer in compromise was just out the door. Now, can we get him in another offer in compromise? Probably could have. But he was now a CEO of a pretty large company making really good money. And he's now got to pay every dime of it back, plus all the penalties and interest that accumulated while that offer was out there. So compliance is just as important. That was a sad day having to tell somebody that, even though they weren't our client, just having to explain to them what went wrong and why. And him and his wife were here, and his wife was absolutely in tears. So we were able to work with them and get them into something they can afford. But, again, it's the next step in being in compliance.
Barry, there's people that are listening right now or watching right now that are maybe received their first letter. Now, you see this every day. I don't know anybody who is in debt to the IRS, has any tax problems, but you see it on a daily basis. And it has to be so tough when the IRS is after you. I mean, talk about a burden. You see this every day. And I want, because just some of the letters we've gotten, and you describe it so well that, you see this all the time. You don't have to be embarrassed, and pick up the phone and call Barry Taxation Solutions Inc. And don't wait till it's too late. I have learned that from you.
It's kind of funny when we talk about letters because, one of the first things I tell you people do is they throw it in that circular file or the wastebasket at home and never even open it or read it. They know what it is, that, hey, it's IRS debt. You got to open it and read it. It could be anything in that letter. And in that letter itself isn't going to bite you. There's nothing in there that's going to bite you. It may disturb you. It may keep you from sleeping at night. It may make your spouse really upset at you. Hey, sometimes you got to let it vent and you got to let it go. But the first thing you need to really do is call Taxation Solutions and say, hey, I've got this tax issue. I owe the IRS $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, $1 million, whatever that number is. And then let us figure out what the solution is for you. But you got to make the phone call, and that's 877-996-6477. Again, 877-996-6477. It's a free call, free consultation. We're here to help. And that even goes as, some people that, don't owe a lot of money, and need some advice. Well, we're going to give them a little bit of advice and tell them, hey, look, this is what you need to do. And it's maybe simpler for you to do it on your own and more cost effective than using us. And we're going to be that way and tell you very much God's honest truth. It's not worth employing our service for something like that. We're also going to sit down and do a complete tax analysis. And in that tax analysis, we're going to be able to tell you, hey, do you qualify for that offer in compromise? Do you qualify for that installment agreement, partial pay installment agreement, or currently non-collectible? But the best thing that you get out of this is once you hire us, you get a little bit of sleep. And I've had clients tell me this all the time. I don't care what you've done in the last week or two for me. All I know is I have slept better since I hired you. And guess what? My wife is a little bit happier with me for actually manning up and dealing with the problem by hiring you guys to get a solution to put in place that's going to save us. Now, hey, we all know In life, sometimes we're living paycheck to paycheck, right? And you don't know, hey, it's hard enough to make that mortgage payment or that rent payment or that car payment. Now you've ignored the letters the IRS sent and they levied your bank account on payday. Guess what? They took everything. And then the bank charges you fees for that levy as well. To add insult to injury, the bank charges you money that's not in there. So then it's NSF fees probably as well. So they double dip. That's something you shouldn't have to deal with. And you got to open those letters, you got to read them, and then you got to hire Taxation Solutions. You can go to taxationsolutions.net. Now, if you don't want tax relief from us, I urge you to get it somewhere, but listen to the phone calls. You know, Steve, you and I have talked as well about what some of these companies say. Possibly, maybe, but what they're always trying to sell you is that offer and compromise, whether you qualify or not. They make it seem 100% like you're going to get it. But they throw in the little words as possible, maybe. Right. And then people don't read. You know, when I'm at Truck to Success or I'm talking about tax relief to a group of people, you know, I tell people all the time, as my father told me when I was young, read everything before you sign it. And then include your engagement letters. So your engagement letter to hire somebody to do tax resolution, read it. It's going to tell you in there that everything that we've put into this is not guaranteed. It's the final determination is done by the IRS, which is absolutely true. But that's not the way they sell it to you. Now, you know, when we are selling and we're talking about what we can do, we do this tax analysis so that we can come back to you and say, hey, without a doubt, we feel like you can qualify for this offer and compromise or this partial pay installment agreement, or we really don't need to do anything except let the statute of limitations run out. And here's when the statutes are going to run out and the debt's going to fall away. So doing anything at this point costs you time and delays the statutes. And then you got bigger problems. So there's a lot of different ways we can handle this. You just got to make sure that you're going through that. Now, speaking of tax analysis, ask the experts, hey, we're going to do it 50% off. So call us at 877-996-6477.
Wow.
Hey, the good news is part of the IRS is still working. And it's part of the people that I know at the IRS are still working. I've got insiders. We're going to get this tax analysis done for you and determine exactly what you can do, even during the shutdown. So call us, let us get started. Don't think the IRS computers aren't working, because they're still on.
Yeah.
And they're still sending notices, and they're going to still do levies, and they still want your money. They may not be spending it on paychecks. They're going to pay these people anyway, but they may not be spending it today, but they're still after your money. So don't delay.
You know, Barry, and we've talked about this many a times. I'm always on the computer reading about different areas, whether it's tax relief or whatever. And I got to tell you, and I've told you this on the show before, that probably 80% of the people who do like a Google review on these companies all say they paid their money and then they never heard back from them again. Now, granted, you know, some of these people might be calling every day, and that's not the way to handle it. You've got to have some patience. But I know how important customer service is to you. And it just seems like most of the problems I call them big companies, they're not necessarily big companies. They have a national ad, big deal. But if you read the Google reports on them, it's like, hey, I paid the money, you know, and I would leave a message and they didn't return my phone call, call them back 2 weeks later, didn't return my phone call. And I just want people to understand that your company, Taxation Solutions, customer service is really important.
Oh, absolutely. We kind of go overboard. We even get people telling us we call it too often. We stay in contact with every one of our clients that we're doing IRS resolution for. We call them at least once a month, at the very least. Most of the time, it's more often than that. We're getting information, we're gathering information. We are actually working with them to get the solution and get the documents we need to put the right solution in place for them. What we ask is complete honesty. That's all we ask for. Be upfront with us. Tell us what's going on. If something changes in your life, please call us and let us know something changed, because it changes what we've got to do. Don't surprise us. And that's why we stay in contact, and that's why it's important for us to stay in contact. It's important for us to let you know what's happening in the process, even when we're in a stalemate or holding period pattern with the IRS, waiting for them to take some action on the documents we sent them. We want you to know, because it may be 2 months, maybe 3 months, could be 6 months, could be 12 months before the IRS actually finishes acting on what we've sent them, or the offer in compromise, or the partial pay installment agreement. And we stay in touch so that A, we're actively working for you. B, we know we can get a hold of you in a crunch, because when the IRS comes back to us, we need to be able to get in touch with you right away as well. And C, gives you an opportunity to tell us something changed. Maybe life got better. Maybe income went down. And these are things we need to know so we can change our approach and make it work for you and me and the system. And that's just the way it's got to be. And, I don't actively go out and ask my clients to do reviews. It's personal. And so you don't see a lot of people go out there and do reviews, because it's a personal situation and people don't want that out there. It's not something that your family goes and talks around the dinner table at a family gathering. I'm proud I owe the IRS $100,000, so I'm going to tell everybody. No, it's one of those things that you can see the stress in their eyes and their face, and they're stressing about it, but they're not going to talk about it. But many, many of our clients come straight from referrals. We're not out there doing big TV advertising. Yeah, we throw ads up on Facebook and Instagram and other places. But a lot of ours is from referrals, word of mouth. A lot of them's from other CPAs that don't do IRS resolution, and they refer their clients to us to resolve their tax problems. So if you're a CPA, EA, and don't do IRS problem resolution and have clients, refer them to us. We don't take your clients. We want you to keep doing the taxes and the bookkeeping and the other stuff that you do for them, but we'll put a resolution for their tax problem and put it to bed, and then help us keep them in compliance. And it's a win-win, for everybody. Even attorneys refer people to us. Maybe they're looking at going through bankruptcy, but their taxes don't qualify for bankruptcy. So therefore they refer them to us. So that's where we get a lot of our clients. And it's because we take care of not just the client, but the people that are referring to us. And, we try to help people get through this issue, make their life better. So as I said, they can sleep at night, have less stress in the family. I mean, you and I know, hey, sometimes business is a little bit slow. Sometimes business is too good. And, when you're sitting there in business, it's just like you're sitting there with family. Stress affects everybody. And when that stress affects everybody, it affects everything you do in life. There is no fun being in stress. And so why not put it to bed and let somebody else take it? I got big shoulders. We take on their stress and go. My whole staff has big shoulders to take on the stress, and we go. Even when I'm not in the office, people have abilities to reach me and contact me. We've got answering service on our lines 24/7, so that if something comes up, somebody somewhere is going to be answering this phone, and we're going to know what we need to do. If we need to be in first thing in the morning early before the IRS is here to get things going, we are here and we're doing it. We take care of you.
Barry, speaking of things happen, what's going to happen to people who've done an offer and compromise, but we're shut down now? People are not going to be getting checks. How do you think the IRS is going to react to that?
So with government shutdown and offers and compromise, there are going to be some people that are still working with the IRS. We've got agents that we deal with. Matter of fact, on our priority line that I have, I've been able to get through the IRS pretty quick during the shutdown. And I've gotten some things quickly resolved, which is kind of amazing and absolutely great for me and our clients. Offers and compromise, there are some people in that department still working and pushing through the older offer and compromise, because anything that's been sitting out there for more than 2 years is automatically accepted. And so they've got to push through offers, that are a little bit older. So you're going to see some of that activity going on. And then if your offer is accepted, you still got to make the payments to the IRS in accordance to whatever your offer is. So if you had 5 months or 24 months to pay your offer amount, you've got to make those payments, regardless of the government shutdown. And you can do that through
Wow.
Gov
payments. So you're saying they're not going to be very understanding?
Not at all.
You're not getting a paycheck?
If you are a government person and you have a offer and compromise, you still got to pay it. There's going to be no understanding on that. You still got to get that payment in within the 5 months. Now, government employees on an offer and compromise is a whole other topic. Sometimes those are a little bit harder to get through and go through, but we've got them done. So, some of those things are a little bit harder. If you're a government employee and owe taxes, you better stay in compliance, whether you've got the money or not. Make your payments. You got to find a way. Family, friends, sell something, do something, but make those payments. They will drop your installment agreement, and you have to start all over as well.
Barry, with all the people, the thousands of people you've helped that have recommended you, you could kind of sit back if you wanted to. But no, you're always coming up with new ways. And I got to talk about the IRS playbook. And we got to give Meg her credit too.
No,
but I think that's
No, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to give her credit anymore. I'm done with that. I said I had big shoulders, so, I'm going to take all responsibility for the playbook now. And, whether she recommended us doing it, it was her idea. No, I'm not giving that credit anymore. It was all me. I think Toby Keith said it best. What about me?
Yeah. What about me? You're right.
We always talk about her, and everything she got going on. What about I?
But the playbook is amazing.
We put this together just to help people, and you can go to irsplaybook.info and see the playbook there. It's the 3 simple steps we take to solve tax problems. And, we make it simple. We make it easy. We make it as easy as possible. Her next step to me was, you should just write a book on explaining to everybody in detail every single thing they need to do to get the installment agreement, everything they need to do to get partial pay installment agreement, everything they need to do to be in non-collectible status or get an offer in compromise. And I'm like, you think I got time to write all that? Sure, why not? There's 24 hours in the day. So what are you doing with the other 12 hours that you don't put into work between, doing IRS resolution, doing trucker taxes and bookkeeping, and working on the ranch? You got nothing else to do. When the sun goes down, you can't work on the ranch and you can just stay up all night and doing it. Honey, we ain't doing that. Not right now. Maybe when I decide I'm going to retire, I'll write the whole book for you. That isn't going to happen. For right now, it's the IRS playbook. It's the 3 simple steps we take to resolve IRS tax problems. Go in there. Hey, it's free. Doesn't cost you anything. Register. You can go in and look at it. Just go to irsplaybook.info and you can get all the information there. We're glad to share it with you and use it. If you don't find it, you can email us at taxationsolutions.net. You can just go to info@taxationsolutions.net, ask for the info. Or you can just give us a call at 877-996-6477. Again, it's 877-996-6477. We'll send you an email with where you can go to get that IRS playbook. We'll make it very simple for you. Make it easy for you so that you can gather the information you need to put a resolution to your IRS tax problem. And that, even if you're not going to use us and you're going to use somebody else, or you just want to try to do it yourself, that playbook is the information you need to get started.
The only thing is caution. If you try to do it yourself, I am telling you, I've done enough shows with Barry to know if you get on the phone with the IRS, you could really hurt yourself more by the things you tell them.
Hey, I'm going to use the words my grandfather told my dad. Now, you got to understand, my grandfather was an electrician on the South Shore Railroad up in Indiana, Illinois, the railroad that ran between Indiana to basically to Chicago, an electric railroad, not like the little electric, railroad cars you play with as a kid, these big things. And my grandfather was a great master electrician. And he looked at my father and said, "Don't you ever, ever touch anything that's electrical." And my father went, "Why?" He goes, "Because you'll be calling me to come back behind you and fix it. And it's going to make the problem 10 times worse." My father was a CPA. He was great, taxes and books and the knowledge on that. And when that's knowledge he gave me and one of my sisters. And, but I also learned how to work with my hands. I learned how to do things from my grandfather. So my grandfather would let me do some electrical work, but my father never. That's the same advice I sometimes give to people with the IRS. When you start dealing with the IRS, you make the problem 10 times worse than if you hire us to get started right from the beginning and get the right solution and get the right information and put it in the right light to make your life easier, not harder, but to make it easier and get the best solution rather than the solution the IRS wants. Because what do you think happens? When you call the IRS, are they going to say, "Hey, Joe, you owe $100,000. We're going to accept $50 a month from you because we're the nicest people in the world"? Heck no. They're going to look at it and they're going to go, "Okay, Joe, the statute of limitations and the time period to pay is 80 months, and we're going to divide this up, and now you owe $1,200 a month, and that's what the payment plan is going to be. Can you afford that?" I can't. Most of our clients can't. But that's what they're going to tell you, and we're not going to accept anything less. And especially since you told them, hey, I have this or I have that. Oh, by the way, I also want that 12,000 you have sitting in the bank account that you just told me about. So can you send that today? Yeah, I'll get that to you. Next thing you know, they levied your bank account. Why? You just gave them the roadmap. And they followed it, and they made it easy. Poor you. Now explain that to your husband or wife, how you managed to get levied. Honey, I was talking to the IRS, and I kind of told them we had this money there in this account. Oh, and I also told them you had 50,000 in your 401k, and they just took that too. I don't know what to do. A little late. Still call us. We might be able to get some of that money back for you. We can try.
Barry, here's a from West Texas. I wonder if they mean the western part of Texas, or is there a city named West Texas? But he's also a Barry. He wants to know, he said, I haven't filed in 5 years. Is there a statute of limitations where they can only go back so many years?
So the IRS, if they see potential of money that you're going to owe, they're going to file a substitute for a return. Now, if those taxes stay outstanding, and let's say they're all 1099 income, there is no statute of limitations. They can go back as far as they want and get you to file those returns. Now, if we're working with you as a client, the IRS is going to go and look at possibly making sure you file the last 6 years. Now, if they see 1099s, the revenue officer or revenue agent can tell us that they want the other years. We can tell them no, they'll probably file a substitute for a return, and then it'll be a lot larger tax debt if we don't file them. The other things that we look at when we're going through and doing that is, what is the income that's there? Maybe there wasn't enough income to require you to file. We can get those exempted. Maybe it's W-2 income and you should have had tax refunds. Now, unfortunately, the IRS kind of does not work the same way as other people. Meaning if you owe money for those 5 years, they expect you to pay the money for those 5 years. If they owe you money for all 5 years, you're only going to get refunds for the last 3 years, but the other 2 years that are beyond the 3 years, they get to keep. How does that work? Well, your Congress passed the laws and said the IRS is not responsible, nor is the U.S. government responsible for refunding money that has been sitting at the IRS for more than 3 years. Wow. It is now considered forfeited money, and the IRS and the government keeps it. You got to file. There are filing requirements, and if you're W-2 and you're going to get a refund, just file the returns. I tell people that even if they owe money, get the returns filed. It's better to file them on time and owe the money than file late and get the penalties every single month for failure to file on top of the failure to pay. And that failure to file can be 5% a month up to 25%. So if you owe 10,000, you now owe 12,500. On top of that, they're going to throw the failure to pay, which is another 5%. Mm-hmm. And so now you're at 15,000. And then they add insult to injury. You not only got interest from April 15th when you should have filed, but they're also going to hit you for interest on estimated tax payments that weren't paid. And then they're also going to hit you interest on all the penalties they've added on top of that.
Oh, wow. It must be tough for people who are self-employed, Barry.
Oh, it's absolutely. I just finished writing an article today for Landline Magazine, which is the magazine, for truckers by OOIDA. But we were talking about self-employed people and self-employed owner-operators in particular. But this goes for anybody that's self-employed. You as a self-employed individual not only have to pay the federal income tax, but you also have to pay both the personal side of Social Security and Medicare tax, and also the company side of Social Security and Medicare tax. That totals out to about 15.3%. So if you made net income of $100,000, you owe right off the top $15,300 before you even owe for federal income tax. So, tax planning, business planning becomes very strategically important to you as a business owner. And knowing every deduction that you can take as a business owner, knowing what you can do to reduce that net income from self-employment is really, really important. And one of the first things I tell people all along is if you're self-employed, the first thing you need is good bookkeeping. You need a good financial statement. You need balance sheet, income statement. You need to know what's going on in your business so you can plan for the taxes. And then you need a good enrolled agent like me that will sit down and be able to do not just tax planning, but also help you make sure that, hey, you know what your estimated tax payments are. You get them made so you're not stuck with, let's say right off the top, $15,300 in self-employment taxes and another $20,000 in federal income tax at April 15th that you can't afford to pay, and then have all the penalties and interest that accumulate on top of that. So you need to be on top of these things, from day one as a business owner to keep yourself out of hot water, out of problems, and out of trouble.
Guy in Spring, Texas, thank you for bringing such a great show. I hear all the time, since you're talking about self-employed, I hear all the time, because I work out of my house, on what I can write off for business. Is it just my office space, or is it more? Good question.
So it's a great question. So you're talking about home office deduction, and
Yes.
self-employed. Most people these days are using the safe harbor method, which gives you just about as good a deduction as using actual expenses. Now, when you're looking at space, what you're looking at is your home and how much that space, that room is, that is used exclusively for business. Now that's IRS terms. It has to be exclusive for business, meaning you can't have kids' toys in there, kids playing in there. It can't be a kid's playroom that you're using as an office as well, or living room. Now, when you're computing space of the house, your house may be 3,000 square feet, but you can take out the common areas out of that, hallways and stuff like that. And it reduces the square footage of the total house and increases the percentage use of the house for the office. And that gives you a pretty good deduction. And we're not worried then about depreciation or anything else on the house that you have to recapture if you were to sell that house. Even if it's your primary residence, you have to recapture that depreciation equation in there. Now, anything you buy that goes into the office, let's say this chair, printer, cabinets, desks, computers, those are write-offs for the business. As long as the business is bought them and using them for business, it's a write-off for the business. And you take those deductions. So if you're doing something more there, now if you're going actual expenses, then you're looking at portion of your interest expense, portion of your property taxes, portion of your homeowner's insurance, portion of your landscape bill or your lawn cutting, lawn care, water bills, all those things that go into the house as far as utilities go and stuff. Your home phone is not a write-off for the business at all. Your home internet, we can write off a portion of that as part of the utilities and everything that's there. So you can take all those deductions, but we've done a lot of analysis, and a lot of times the safe harbor is the best thing. Don't get carried away. Don't remodel your whole home and decide that is a whole write-off for the business. I did have a client do that one time. And we ended up having to take it to tax court, and we kind of won. Don't know how, but we did win in tax court in mediation, mainly because we had to take it to tax court, and the client had to do it themselves, but we were able to help them and work with them in representation and mediation, and we got things that the auditor denied, we got them accepted. And actually, the auditor, in my opinion, denied them with good, reasonable cause. But we were able to use good, reasonable cause to make it a deduction when we got to the mediation. So it was really kind of a fun situation for us to do it, save the client a lot of money doing that. But that's sometimes you get yourself carried away and you get that audit. And that's not something you always want to have. You do want to use all the tax laws to your advantage, but you don't want to go to over and above to where you know they're going to throw that flag and you know it's going to set you up for an audit. It is not a good experience. But we will represent you in an audit if you do need us.
Yeah, that's important that Barry's company will represent you if you're being audited. Barry, if you're self-employed and you get a letter from the IRS telling you say you owe $50,000, the IRS has no idea what your write-offs are. They're only basing it off the gross amount. Is that correct?
So if the IRS does a substitute for return, absolutely. If you filed your return, then you've provided all the write-offs. But if you have not filed a return, the IRS files one for you. They're going to take everything to their advantage. They're not giving you any of your cost of goods sold or any of your other deductions that you would have for your business. So, let's just say you have a 1099 out there for $500,000 or $250,000. They're basing that tax straight off of that gross number there. They're not going to give you payroll deductions. They're not giving you anything, even though they have like the payroll tax returns and stuff like that out there for your self-employment. They're not going to give you those deductions. They're going to straight off that 1099 number, and you got to get that fixed and corrected and file an actual return.
Barry, you're going to be with us this Friday. Gosh, we're kind of off this month with the holidays and our computers going down several weeks ago and me being sick. But you've got another show with us Friday, but you do your show on Mondays. Is that correct?
Mondays, 10 a.m. right here on W4CY Radio, Tax Talk for You TV. It's actually Tax Talk, the number 4, letter U.com. If you go over there and follow us, you won't miss an episode of us. And we're always talking purely about taxes, bookkeeping, what affects individuals on their taxes, resolving tax problems. I love our show because mainly I will answer questions the whole show long. If people want to send in their questions, I'll sit there and answer them the whole show. They won't let me go over, which is unfortunate because I really sometimes want to go over when I'm talking. Even in this show, I think I want to take you over.
It goes by so fast.
We used to do 30 minutes. Now we do an hour, and it still doesn't seem like it's long enough.
I know.
But I love answering questions and helping people. And that's kind of the point of the show. Last Monday, I did a show, and I was not prepared for the show whatsoever. It was purely...
I don't believe that. I don't believe that, Barry.
Send me questions, and I will answer them. I came in unprepared and just sat there and answered questions, which is great. And that's what we love to do. But it's Tax Talk, the number 4, letter U.com, or you can find us on Facebook as well. Follow us. Don't miss an episode. And hey, above all, if you got tax problems and you need tax relief, go to taxationsolutions.net. But better yet, call us directly at 877-996-6477. Again, 877-996-6477. Call us for that tax analysis. We're doing them 50% off. Let us jump in. Let's do an analysis for you and figure out a solution to your problem. Get rid of your headache. Thank you, Steve.
So ask the experts, and boy, do we have an expert. Hey, I'll see you Friday, buddy.
We'll see you on Friday. Thank you very much. Have a great and God bless week.
That's Barry Fowler. Such a great company, Taxation Solutions. Hey, that's going to do it for us today. We'll be back again with you next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.